Okay, so now I want to go ahead and find the rest of the values. Let's go ahead and plug these ones in really quick. This is -1, 0. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the y values this time. So y values, we have short, then we have medium, and then we have my long side, right? So long side, I'm going down, right? I'm going down in this case. I'm going down. So in this case, my long side is negative radical 3 over 2. I'm doing the y values this time. My medium side is negative radical 2 over 2, and then my short side is going to be negative 1/2. All right, and then we can go ahead and do the x values, right? Now, how do I get, starting from 0, how do I get to the blue, right? I go short. So negative 1/2. Then, starting from 0, how do I get to the red guy? I start at 0, and then I go medium. So that's negative radical 2 over 2. And then starting from 0, how do I get to the last angle, right? I go long, so negative radical 3 over 2. All right, let's go to the last quadrant. Well, we know this one. This is going to be 0 and negative 1. All right, so now last quadrant here. Okay, let's start with our short side. So short, so 1/2. So going straight down, this is my short side, so negative 1/2. Then I go to my medium side, right? So negative radical 2 over 2. And then I go to my long side, which is negative radical 3 over 2. All right, now let's go horizontally. So now I've got short, so negative 1/2. Then I've got medium, so negative radical 2 over 2. And then I've got long, so negative, oh, I'm sorry, oh, these are positive. These are positive. These are all positive. Sorry about that. This is going to be radical 3 over 2 positive. Let me go ahead and erase the negative, so that's positive, and this is positive. Okay, so now let's see what we have here. So now on the bottom right, it says circle the correct choices. Sign always goes up and down, left to right. So basically what this is saying is which values are the same, right? So if you look at the sign, right, sign really means your y values, right? This really means your y values. So it's saying the y values are always the same when you go up or down or you go left or right. So let's go ahead and look at my let's look at up and down. Are my y values the same here? If this is 1/2 and this is negative 1/2, oh, those are not quite the same, right? These are not the same. So sign is definitely not equal up and down. Let's try left and right. Hey, look at that. I see 1/2 is the same. Let me highlight this actually, right? 1/2 is the exact same as 1/2. Radical 2 over 2 is the exact same as radical 2 over 2. Radical 3 over 2 is the exact same as radical 3 over 2. So for this one, it's saying sign always goes left or right. They're always the same when you go left or right. This second one, I think there might be a typo. This should probably say cosine. So let's just erase that really quick, and let's write cosine instead. So COS, right? Cosine is always equal. Now these are the x values, right? So we have our x values here. That's what this is talking about. So our x values are always going to be equal when I go up or down or left or right. Well, sine was left or right, so let's try up or down. Remember, sine is our cosine is our x values. So let's get a different color here. Let's try radical 3 over 2. So is this the exact same as the x value in the fourth quadrant? Yes, it is. Radical 2 over 2 is exactly the same as radical 2 over 2. 1/2 is exactly the same as 1/2. Looks good to me, right? So now we can say that cosine is always going to be up and down. Given the x and y coordinate, cosine is always the x, and then your sine is always going to be your y coordinate. I think we've kind of talked about that. All right, guys, so I wanted to go over a couple examples using that strategy number 1 in order to identify the trig values here. So we're asked to evaluate the cosine of negative 225 degrees. So we're going to start with that one first. So the first thing is you have to identify where that angle is. So I'm gonna have a little helper for me. I'm gonna put it right over here. And let's go ahead and identify where is negative 225 degrees, right? Like I said earlier, you have to memorize the angles. So in this case here, positive 225 degrees is this angle right here, right? We know we're going to start here. We know positive 225 is going to be that angle. So we need to travel that same distance, but negative, right? So the way I think about it is, well, it travels a whole 180, and then it goes an extra 45 degrees, right? It travels a whole 180, then it travels an extra 45 degrees. So let's do that backwards. Right, now we're going to go backwards. So I'm going to start at 0, and then I'm going to go over 180, and then I'm going to go an extra 45 degrees, and I'm going to end up right at 135. All right, 135, this is the exact same thing as a negative 225 degrees. Perfect. So now that we have that angle there, let's go ahead and erase everything else, right? We don't need anything else. All we need is that angle. Now we want to find, well, what side lengths are we using to get there, right? So let's say I'm asking for, in this case, I'm asking for the cosine. So the cosine just wants to know what's the x value here. Well, let's do it. We know that up to 120, right? Up to here, that's negative 1. That's my short side. And then I know up all the way up to 135, that's my medium side. So this is the x value, negative radical 2 over 2. And I'm done. Let's make that a little bit bigger when we write our answer. So negative radical 2 over 2, done. Okay. Okay, so now we want to find the cotangent of 4 pi over 3. So let's just remember that the tangent of 4 pi over 3 is the y value divided by the x value, right? So if we have a triangle, this is my angle, it's the opposite divided by the adjacent. So anyways, if the tangent is y over x, then that means that the cotangent is going to have to be x over y. So it's up to you. Like as you can see, I don't really memorize what the cotangent is, but I know it's the reciprocal of tangent. So for me, if I know tangent, I automatically know cotangent. It might take me an extra step to figure it out, but I will never ever forget that relationship. Whereas people that tend to try to remember it are gonna forget that it equals x over y. Okay, so my goal here is now I want to find the x and y values at my angle 4 pi over 3. So we should know where the angles are. So I'm gonna let's go ahead and post a. Let me go ahead and have this little helper here. This is gonna help me kind of figure out where it goes. So let's go ahead and find where's 4 pi over 3. All right. The way I think about it is 4 pi over 3. Well, it's going to be right. It's greater than pi. Right. I know it's greater than pi, and then it's going to go an extra pi over 3. So it's going to go right here. Okay. So that's the angle. I'm going to erase everything else. I don't really care about all the other lines. I just care about that angle right there. Perfect. So now let's see, what are the x and the y values here? All right. So we know the x value is this value right here. So now you got to tell yourself, is that the short, is that the medium, or is that the long? Well, this is going to be this is the short side, so negative 1/2. And then I also have this line right there. What is that one going to be? Is that going to be the short, the long, or the medium? Well, that one's going to be the long side, right? And it's negative. So let's go ahead and plug this in. So the cotangent, let's use black. So the cotangent of 4 pi over 3 is equal to the x value, negative 1/2, divided by the y value, negative radical 3 over 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel out my radicals. I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out the denominators of 2. Right, the 2's cancel out automatically. So then I end up with the cotangent of 4 pi over 3 is going to equal to negative, oh, let's cancel out the positives too while we're at it, right? My positives are going to cancel out. So then I end up with 1 over radical 3. Okay, I'm not done though because I need to rationalize it. So I have to multiply the top and the bottom by radical 3. And now I know that this gives me radical 3 over 3. So write the final answer. Cotangent of 4 pi over 3 equals radical 3 over 3. All right, so we have 2 more examples here. So we have the cosine of 0, right? So the cosine of 0, this one's not too bad, right? We know the cosine of 0. I don't even need my angle helper, right? Cosine of 0, this is 0 right here. So the angle is going to be that angle right there. Well, we know the radius to all of these is 1. So this is the point 1, comma 0. So cosine is the x value, right? So then my x value here is 1, and I'm done. Next one, we have the cosecant of 2 pi over 3. So with this one, remember that the top number 2 is less than 3. So one of my strategies is, well, 2 is less than 3. So that's going to be this one right here. That's going to be 2 pi over 3. All right, I know I'm in the second quadrant because I am 1. The number on top is 1 less than the number in the bottom. So you're less than pi. All right, so 2 pi over 3 is that angle. Now if you notice that this is going to be made up of a short side, right? So we have our short side, and then it's going to be made up of a long side as well. Here it comes whenever it starts working. All right, there we go. Not sure what's going on there. So remember, cosecant, right, is going to be the inverse of sine. So if sine is equal to the y value, then cosecant is equal to 1 over the y value. So let's find our y value here, right? Our y value is the long side. It is radical 3 over 2. So this is going to be equal, whoops, this is going to be radical 3 over 2. So this is going to be equal, sorry, I'm not sure, oh, what's going on? Sorry, it's glitching a little bit. So this is going to be equal to 1 over radical 3 over 2. So 1 over radical 3 over 2. So we're just going to go ahead and flip it. So when we flip it, we get 2 over radical 3. I have to rationalize my denominators, so multiply the top and the bottom by radical 3, and then I end up getting 2 radical 3 over 3. So my final answer is going to be the cosecant of 2 pi over 3 equals 2 radical 3 over 3. Okay, so you guys have to make sure that you are trying to solve this without using the unit circle. Of course, the unit circle is a great tool to use, but try to do it without it.